Come on then. Go on then, brother. All right. Bring up the brightness. That should be better. All right, we'll do that. That's good. All right, we'll do that. All right. All right, so today's been a busy news day in F1. We're going to go over all the different news headlines. Nothing's too serious where it deserves its own video, but we're going to go over the full day of news. Starting with this, the FIA reach a Red Bull verdict after reach Red Bull. That's kind of weird. After a factory investigation into bib trick. That was the whole front bib issue that supposedly people thought that Red Bull was lowering their front bib, essentially their ride height after qualifying before the race. Obviously, that wasn't happening. It was found out afterwards that initially the report was that they had a mechanism inside the cockpit that they could change the car mid race or whatever. It was all this speculation, but really it was just something that they could do mechanically while they were setting up the car to make it easier to change the front bib. It was a non-story. The FIA regularly reviews all of this, whatever. Takes it seriously. Part of the assessment, FIA visited Red Bull headquarters, in-depth recent allegations. So pretty much they went to Red Bull, checked and saw if they were doing anything wrong, realized that there was no way they could have done anything with this, and that was that. So there's your first story. Red Bull, just didn't do anything wrong with this front bib. There's been allegations to every team this year, so it's not really a surprise, but nothing to see here. Let's move on to the next story. This one's a bit of a weird one. Here's where some speculation is going to come in. So FIA announced new F1 race director after Wittich steps down. So Niels Wittich, who was the man to replace Michael Massey after the 2021 Abu Dhabi massacre. Okay. Yeah, he's been in since then. He started as sole race director since 2022 Japan Grand Prix, so early 2022, and previously rotated in his position with Eduardo Freitas. So I imagine Freitas is probably taking over here. Yeah, so here's the thing. This guy just gets randomly booted after the Brazil Grand Prix, and you know how this goes. It's like when a cop does something wrong and they say, "Oh, well, he resigned his position," or some politician does something wrong. "Oh, he resigned." He didn't step down, bro. They pretty much said, "Step down, or you're gonna get fired." So I don't know what exactly happened here. There was a lot of fuckery at the Brazil Grand Prix. Starting with the yellow flags turning into safety cars and red flags too. A lot of them were taking like suspiciously long to go from either a yellow flag to a VSC or to just go red instantly. And it seemed like it was always, again, that's speculation, but it seemed like it was always during a Max Verstappen, fast lap or hot lap, and seemed to always benefit everybody else but him. So there was a bit of weird shit going on there. I mean, I don't think this specific guy has anything against Red Bull or Verstappen, but it just seemed weird. And then also everything that happened with the race, starting with the false start by Norris and how they handled that. It seemed like that was Norris's fault, but it could have been the race director as well. We don't really know. I mean, they don't. It's not like on the broadcast they tell you all those intricacies, or sometimes they do, but I don't think they would know either. Um, it could also be it. It could also be that the race and the rain during the race was bad, and there was times where even Max was calling for red and saying that they probably shouldn't be racing. So it could be that maybe he was the one that made the decision to keep them out there, and in turn there was so many crashes and cost teams so much money off that. Maybe that was why. Maybe with how they handled the weather and stuff like that, I could see it being that potentially. Uh, but one way or the other, he just randomly steps down. after this Brazil Grand Prix, and it doesn't really make sense because if they were to like make a change like this, you would think they would just do it after the season and not deal with doing it mid-season and having to deal with that for the last 3 races. But there's got to be something there. I mean, let me know what you think. There has to be something there beyond him just moving on from the position. There's no way with 3 races left in the season they're like, yeah, now's a good time to step down. No, there's something they're not telling us. Rui Marquez will assume the role of new race director from the Las Vegas Grand Prix. So maybe it could potentially be that they're trying to get this guy in, and maybe he'll give them some favorable rulings and be in their pocket. Maybe that's why. Maybe this Niels Wittich guy wasn't just in their pocket and wouldn't do what they wouldn't fucking do what he's told, and maybe that's why. So that's that story. That's kind of the weirdest one here. Definitely something funky going on here. Definitely some kind of controversy. Something he did wrong. There's no way that this dude randomly steps down after the Brazil Grand Prix if he didn't do anything wrong or if there was no reason for it. No shot. He's stepping down with 3 races left in like at the end of the season. There's no reason for that. So that's that one. Moving on to the next story. This is probably the biggest, most popular story of the day. F1 set to do a London reveal with all 10 teams to kick off the season. I believe it said it was going to be like February 18th, which I believe is about a week before the season starts. So here's the things I don't like about this. Number one, the teams are not going to have their actual car there. It's probably going to be somewhat of a show car because, first of all, they can't expect teams to fully ship out and manufacture at that event a full car a week before. Maybe it's a week before preseason testing. I don't know. It might be a week before preseason testing, not the actual first race. But regardless, it's going to be when they're still in development. I mean, some of these teams like fucking Williams last year didn't even have their car done until the beginning of the season. It had no backup fucking cockpit. So a lot of these teams are playing from behind anyway, and the only thing they said now, we always see teams do their own reveals for their car for the next season. The only thing F1 has said that the teams are not allowed to do in revealing their car before this event is to show the livery that they're going to use for next season. So I guess that's what we're doing this entire event for. I don't know. I guess they just want to sell tickets because they're doing it at the O2 Arena, and I think they said the tickets are going to be anywhere between like 75 and 125 pounds. So I mean, I can't imagine it. Yeah, the launch event will take place between 8 and 10 p.m. So 2 hours. You're going to pay over $100 to go see this for 2 hours, and all you're really going to see is some new liveries, I guess. It probably won't even be the actual cars, and realistically, the cars aren't going to look that much different anyway until the new regulations in 2026. So yeah, tickets going from 58 to 113 pounds. That's kind of ridiculous, honestly. I guess they can't really charge less than that because it's an F1 event, but they don't want to lower their brand value. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, let me know what you think. I don't know. I like the individual reveals. I get that they want to do a whole event, commercialize it more, and this and that, and get more people involved. But I mean, all we're doing is just revealing liveries. Do we really need to have a whole event for that? I don't see the point for that. But anyway, I mean, I guess it'll be fun for fans to be able to go see it. I assume the drivers would be there too. Bring all 10 teams together. How funny would it be if they show up and they just put the cars out there? Yeah, this was as all 10 teams reveal their cars and the new look. What if the fucking drivers just don't show up? What if these people pay to go to this and it's literally just cars? That'd be so devastating. So I mean, I guess we'll see it, but that would be fucking hilarious, to be honest. Um anyway, moving on to the next story. Adrian Newey and Dan Fallows reunion off as technical director departs F1 team. This is another weird one. Another controversial one, like the whole FIA director thing. Dan Fallows is stepping down as the technical director of Aston Martin as Adrian Newey is coming in. Obviously, they both had a long history at Red Bull together. And we were kind of looking forward to their reunion coming into the next season and working together again. But kind of weird. I guess this is probably Stroll saying this, right? I would like to thank Dan, Adrian Cowell, Andy Cowell, Aston Martin's groups, whatever, some random. I would like to thank Dan for his contribution to Aston Martin and Aramco in the last 2 years. Dan led the team to successful AMR 23, which led to 8 podiums last season. Uh, Follows takes a step back. I just don't. In my time at Aston Martin, it's been a joy and a privilege to guide the technical team on their journey towards being a race and championship winners. That didn't happen, but anyway, it is time for me to pass on the baton. But I look forward to watching the team's future success, which I'm sure will come soon. So why are you leaving them, bro? I don't really understand that. Would have made sense that he would have wanted to work with Newey, but kind of a weird one. I don't really have an explanation for that. I can't. I mean, he's young. He's not like he's like aging out of his position or out of the sport or anything like that. I don't really understand why now you would want to leave after the kind of shit season they've had now, and knowing that they're going to have some promise into next season, and potentially after that too, if they can get a big name signed under Newey and show some success in 2025 going into the new regulations. I'm sure that's going to be a coveted seat, and hopefully one that's given up by Stroll and not Alonso. But I guess we're going to see about that. Kind of weird. Dan Fallows leaving and kind of just no explanation. Kind of just like, yeah, thanks guys, it was all great. Well, what the fuck, man? Is there some Christian Horner shit going on? Because I need to know. Everyone's got to get exposed. Dude, if we had to hear all that about Horner, I want to hear about I want all the fucking dirt. Okay? Is this the new Christian Horner? Is he a little fucking deviant little bitch? I don't know, but something weird happened. Obviously, not just a product of their performance this season, because they would obviously want to keep him on going into next season with Newey. So kind of weird. But that again, just more news today. But I don't really know what to make of that, other than I don't think it's just a mutual departure and saying that he's going to step down. They also said that he might get a different position there. Yeah, shifts roles within Aston Martin, so he's not leaving entirely, but I don't know. I just don't. I would just love a better explanation, honestly, instead of having to speculate. Because just saying, "Oh, it was so nice being here. Thanks, everybody," like that doesn't tell us fucking shit, dude. You're just making small talk at that point. But moving on. Next in the news, Alpine strike customer deal with Mercedes for 2026 and beyond. So they are finally going to have less of a boat. Get away from the Renault engines, which we obviously did a video about that a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago at this point, probably at least over a month. But Renault is essentially going to be out of F1 now. And the speculation back then, and even in the video back then, was that they were going to be going to Mercedes. And that seemed like almost guaranteed coming into this anyway, even coming into that decision. And that is confirmed now. So they are going to have I believe, a multi-year agreement. Mercedes will supply Alpine with power units for the duration of the new regulation era, so 2026 until at least 2030. So interesting. I mean, we just saw Alpine last week, or last race rather, double podium in the wet, and obviously in the wet, certain lesser teams can sometimes do better, but I guess they got that going for them. I mean, I guess that's positive. They're retaining Pierre Gasly. They're bringing on Jack Doohan, who's a rookie, and now they're going to have the Mercedes power unit from 2026. So big jump for them going into the new regulations, because that is the one thing we know from past regulation changes is that Mercedes does a great job right out of the gate with their power units. So definitely a big jump for Alpine. A no-brainer for them to get rid of Renault and go to Mercedes at this point. Totally understand that. Other than the fact that all those factory jobs are gone, but I don't know. Make better shit then? I don't know. Anyway, that was next in the news. Another sponsorship deal today. Aston Martin secure a new major sponsorship partner for 2025. Who was it? I forget. Oh, Puma. Yeah. So I don't. I mean, I guess that's good. I don't know. Yeah, clothing, shoes, shit. I don't know. I think some of their actual racing shoes and some of the stuff they wear is actually Puma as well. So maybe that's why. Um, yeah, I don't really need to hear any of their bullshit, but another partnership deal today. We saw a couple that we talked about in the video yesterday, and now we have Puma. So I guess that's good for them. Going to be a couple more $1 million. We'll finish it up here. Uh, Juan Pablo Montoya sees a warning sign if Mercedes bring back Valtteri Bottas. I mean, where the fuck else is he supposed to go, bro? Leave him alone, okay? Martin Brundle hits back after Verstappen and Newey British bias media accusations. Martin Brundle's one of the better ones, I would say. He believes Sky F1 coverage is pretty balanced. We know for a fact that it's not. So that's just straight up bullshit, obviously. I think from the outside, I'm not sure if people fully appreciate and understand Max. Just yeah, I said Newey. Yeah, we don't need to hear Newey glazing him, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely not equal, but I mean, you can't really expect for it to be equal if your main guy from your country's going against Verstappen. I mean, I get it, but it's like don't act like it's not happening. Anything else? FI investigation. Fact. Oh, that's previous. What do we got from Franco Colapinto here? Let's see. Last we heard, they were asking for 20 million to sign him, but since then we've had the Perez news, and Lawson and Tsunoda have been doing pretty well, so it's hard to assume that Red Bull's going to get rid of one of those seats for Colapinto. But The toughest part is there's not a clear person to get rid of at this point because you could say Perez, but realistically Perez did help quite a bit in 2021, 2022. He's just washed as fuck now. Sonoda, for example, he's been very off and on, been really good at times and really bad at other times under pressure. Really, I mean, you want to keep him. He was in the driver academy. He seems like he has some promise, but are you going to get rid of that seat? Probably not. Lawson now, you just sacked Ricardo for Lawson. Are you really going to sack him again for Colapinto and bring somebody else new in? Another rookie? It's just a bad situation for them. But yeah, people still coping about the championship being alive, this and that. I'm gonna tell you right now, the championship's over and Max the four-time champion. But we can keep acting until it's official. I think that's gonna do it though. Quite a bit of news today. A lot of little stuff, nothing crazy, but I think the two main things, the FIA director stepping down, definitely some weird shit going on there. If I had to just make a guess, I would say it's either A, because the new guy they put in there is going to be in their pocket and bought and paid for, or B, they did not like how Niels Wittich handled the Brazil Grand Prix in terms of the flags, in terms of the weather that they were allowed to race on. Could be either of them. And then Dan Fallows stepping back at Aston Martin, kind of a little bit of a red flag for me. I don't know. You would assume if he did something wrong that they would say he's going to leave altogether and not just step down and still be in the organization. So hard to say there. Maybe I mean, it's just hard to imagine that somebody after all those years. I mean, he was at the top of the food chain essentially at Red Bull for all those years. Then went to Aston Martin, the top of their food chain, and upgraded in position even. And now you're going to step down now that Newey's coming over randomly. I just don't understand that really. Um, yeah, we'll be back with more F1 content over this little bit of a break, and we're just about